Hello and welcome to our channel. Today we're going to talk about idioms about fruit. Now, there are many idioms about fruit. We're going to talk about apples, pears, cherries and bananas because these are very common fruits in Western societies. The first idiom is a bad apple. Now, apples are quite interesting. Now, if you buy a bag of apples and one of the apples is bad or one of the apples soon goes bad, very soon we find that all the other apples in the bag, they go bad as well. And so when one apple starts rotting, all the other apples around it or in the bag, they start to rot as well. And maybe that's similar to people. So if you have a group of people and one of the people starts to do something bad or is not as honest as the others, very soon the other people might start following those bad examples and they might become more dishonest as well. So in business or in daily life, often we make comparisons. So we'll talk about comparing things, and we can often compare apples because they're fairly similar. So we can say, let's compare apples with apples because they are fairly similar situations. However, we can also compare slightly different situations or very different situations. And if we decide that they're not really very easy to compare, then we say that's comparing apples with oranges. They're very different color, very different taste, and they're not easy to compare. And we shouldn't really compare them because they're so different. But apples are easier to compare. So that's why in business or in life, we'll often say, let's compare apples with apples. And that means let's make sure that the situations or the options that we're trying to compare, that they are fairly similar. Now we also have the idiom as American as apple pie. Now, apple pie is quite a traditional dish for Western cultures, but especially for Americans. So for something that's very traditional, and something very American, we can say this thing, this topic, this food, this shop is as American as apple pie. For example, some very famous American brand names like Levi's or The Gap, these are very American. So we could say they are as American, Gap and Levi's, we can say that they are as American as apple pie. Now, lemons are also used for English idioms. So one very common lemon idiom is easy peasy lemon squeezy. Okay, that's quite unusual. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. What does that mean? Well, it's just used for describing a situation which is quite easy to do. The origin, which I'll explain, which may explain it a bit more clearly to you. The origin was apparently in the 1950s, there was a TV commercial called Squeezy, and it was a soap, and there was a lemon smell, there was a lemon scent. And so it was used for washing, and so they would say it's very easy, and something that's easy that rhymes with peasy, easy peasy. So something that's simple, we can say, oh, easy peasy. Can you do this? Oh, easy peasy. Or if we want to be a bit more colorful, we can say, oh, easy peasy lemon squeezy. And so adding the lemon and the squeezy, that comes from the old TV commercial about the soap with the lemon scent. So even though the TV commercial was very old, people still remember it. Okay, so maybe the next time you can describe a situation which is very easy, you can say, oh, easy peasy. Or you'll hear someone say, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Now, bananas are also used for English idioms. For bananas, we can say a situation is, oh, that's bananas, meaning it's very silly or impossible. And there's a similar meaning to describe people. We can say, oh, he's completely bananas. Or it's bananas what he's doing. So we're talking about something which is very silly or stupid. And this is probably related to the shape, which is bent for a banana. And so something which is not straight, we might say, oh, that's unusual or silly. Okay, so that's probably where the phrase of go bananas or he's bananas, that's probably where that came from. Now, cherries are also quite a common fruit in Western countries. And so it's not surprising that cherries often come up in English idioms. So for example, a bite at the cherry. A bite at the cherry, this means something where you have a chance, you have an opportunity to do or get something very nice. So a bite at the cherry, this may be where you've got a chance for a promotion at work. Okay, you can have a bite at the cherry. Or there's a very nice or interesting project and you have a part of this. So you can have a bite of the cherry. Okay, so remember, cherry, that's something very sweet, something very nice. We can also use cherries for a slightly different idiom. We can say, we can have a second bite at the cherry. Now, second bite at the cherry means we can have another chance to get something or do something very nice. Maybe we weren't successful the first time, but we've got another chance. So this is something good. If we can have a second bite at the cherry, we have another chance to do better. Cherries are also very nice and very sweet, and they're often used to decorate a cake. And it might be the best part, or it'd be at the top or right in the middle. So we can imagine that the cherry is something very, very nice. So if we say this is the cherry on top, that means something you will add to a situation or a work situation or a project. If you add the cherry on the top, this means something extra nice, extra special to finish the project or the situation. Maybe this is the best part. Cherries are also used for idioms because of their color. So cherries are red. So if we're embarrassed, we'll turn red. So we can describe someone when they're embarrassed. We can say, oh, he or she turned as red as a cherry. Okay, that means they're very embarrassed and their face turned red. Now remember, cherries are very sweet and very nice. And so if you get the cherries, this means you get the best part. But in some situations, maybe for a project or a deal that you are negotiating, there are some good parts and some bad parts. Now, if you only choose the good parts, the best parts, and leave the bad parts of the deal or the negotiation, this is called cherry picking, because you're only picking the best and the sweetest parts. So if you're trying to negotiate a deal, a package, a sale, or a situation, and you or somebody else, you only pick the best parts and leave the not so good parts, that means you're cherry picking, or you're trying to cherry pick the best parts that you want or maybe everybody else wants. But as part of a deal, often we have to accept everything. We can't only accept the best parts. Pears. Now pears are a very common fruit in Europe and other countries. So not surprising that pears are used for English idioms. Now the shape is very interesting because it's not straight, it's not perfectly round, but some parts are thin, some parts round. And so often we can use this in business or a situation which starts well but then goes badly. Okay, so if you're at work or you want to do something outside of work and you make a plan and it starts well, but then it does it does not go well or things go wrong, then we can say, oh, the project or the plan quickly went pear-shaped. That means it went out of the shape that we expected. Okay, so maybe you can use this at work, talk about something that goes wrong. You can say, oh, it's gone pear-shaped. That means, oh, situation has gone badly, not what we planned. You can also use it to describe an economy. So if your country's economy started quite well this year, but then later something bad happened and things have turned out not so well, then you can say the economy has gone pear-shaped. Started well but quickly went bad. Peaches. Now peaches are very nice, very sweet, and they look very smooth. And so peaches, not surprisingly, are used for describing something good. So if I ask you, oh, how are you today? And then you could say, oh, I'm just peachy. Or everything is just peachy. That means everything is great. However, it can also be used when situations are not so great and you're very annoyed or angry about something. And so you can still say everything is just peachy, but you would say it in a very angry, annoyed way. So if you're very unhappy about something, then you might say, oh, everything is just peachy. But the way you say it shows that everything is not going well. Sometimes you might want to say that everything really is going very well. Maybe everything is going like a dream. Everything is wonderful. And so then you might say, everything is peaches and cream. So peaches and cream is very nice, describing a perfect situation where everything is going well. So how are things with you? Is everything peaches and cream? That's how we can use this idiom. So sometimes we can talk about individual fruits to describe a situation, but we can also talk about fruit in general. So a very nice idiom is where you can say, the project or my plans are starting to bear fruit. And so like a tree, you can imagine that if it's growing well and if it's very healthy and there's lots of fruit, then we can say this is going very well. This tree is starting to bear fruit. It's a very healthy, good tree, bearing good fruit, growing good fruit. And we can use the same situation for our plans or a project at work. We're starting to see the results. Things are going well, just as we planned. And so we can say, the project is starting to bear fruit. Or our efforts, all the hard work, are now starting to bear fruit. Things are going well. And now we're starting to see some very good results. So maybe you can try this at work or in your life. When things are going well and you're seeing some very good results, you can say, things are starting to bear fruit.